Hi, this is Mr. Wolfson, and in this video I'm going to show you one of the ways that you can use Naviance to develop an initial list of colleges that you can begin to research as you're planning for your college applications. When you're working in the Colleges tab of your Naviance screen, you'll look for the link that says College Search. And this is one of the ones that I really like to use because it gives you all sorts of different options to search on different characteristics that may be important to you in developing a list of colleges to start off your process. Now, there are hundreds of different categories and characteristics that you can search for colleges using this college search, but to get a quality list of schools just to start off your college searching process, you only really need to answer a few questions. The first ones that I usually ask students to select are whether or not they're looking for four-year colleges or two-year colleges. So for the example right now, we're going to click four-year colleges. The only other question that I usually have students answer is the campus surroundings, whether or not they might want to go to school in a large city or a rural area or somewhere in between. Usually if you have a preference on something specific, like if you know you want to go to college in a city, I usually recommend that students select a couple of the different boxes in that category, because you may find that a school that's technically classified as in a large town might have some similar characteristics to a city that you may be looking for. So just add in a little bit of range there. The reason why I wouldn't want students to answer too many more questions on this page, or a lot of the other specific questions in here, is because it could significantly limit the results that you get. So for instance, if you were to scroll down on the screen, you might see some college groups that would be important to you, or you might see if you're interested in going to a school with a religious affiliation, look to click on the particular religious affiliation. Depending on how the college reports information to Naviance is how it gets classified and categorized in the Naviance search. There may be colleges that fall into those categories that you're looking for, but unless they reported it to Naviance, that school won't show up in your list after you've completed your search. So the next part that we're going to go to is the location, and there are two different ways that you can approach this. First, you can select an individual region like New England or the Mid-Atlantic, or you can pick individual states or even a combination of the two. You could do all of New England plus Maryland and New Jersey and New York. Or if you wanted to, you could also do a range away from home. So you could go, let's say, up to 360 miles. That's about a 6 or a 7 hour drive. Maybe that's how far you're willing to travel. Before we continue, I want to point out that as you go through this search, the number of matches that appear is going to gradually get lower and lower depending on the characteristics that you're putting in. We started at the very beginning with over 5,000 schools, and right now we're at about 1,385 colleges, and that's before we load our preferences for location. Once we go on to the next category for students, you're going to see that the number of matches is going to drop all the way down to 314. What I'm trying to aim for right now is a list of about 50 colleges. And you're not going to apply to 50 colleges, but when you're just starting off in the process, having a list of 50 colleges of schools that maybe you've heard of and maybe ones that you haven't heard of is just a good spot to start, so you can cast a wide net of possible schools that fit the major characteristics that you're looking for in particular schools, like type of school, location, number of students. Getting to that list of 50 gives you a wide variety that you can begin to do some deeper research into and look for those characteristics that are really going to make a school a good fit. And gradually that list of 50 turns into a list of 20, to a list of 10, and then finally your final list of colleges that you apply to in the beginning of senior year. So moving forward with the search, this page is where we're going to select about how big or how small we might be interested in attending a school. Let's say you're interested in probably going to a smaller school as opposed to a larger school. You may be really interested in really small schools, but I would also recommend that you check one more box a little bit higher, similar to campus surroundings, where if you were looking at living in a city or going to school in a city, you might want to venture out a little bit because some of the characteristics might be similar in other categories. In this case, a school with, say, 5,100 students is going to be a lot more similar to a school with 5,000 than maybe a school with 10,000. So you still want to try to capture those schools that may be a little bit higher into one of the other ranges. So how many colleges are we going to have in our match next when we go to the next category? Let's see. It goes from 314 down to 278. So I have a little bit more to go to get down to that list of 50. I selected on majors now. And again, there's two different ways that you can search your majors. You could either type something in specifically, and you'll have some choices that match what you typed in, or you could look for different categories of majors. So let's say you're interested in something specific like engineering. you select the engineering category, it'll give you all of the different possible majors that different colleges have reported that they offer at their college. Now, for something like engineering, you may be very interested in going into mechanical engineering or civil engineering, but what I would recommend is, in addition to selecting those specific ones, you also look for something that says engineering general and engineering other. And this happens also in other categories like business or education. You want to look for those general categories. Again, based on how the college reports the majors that they offer, they may have simply said, we offer engineering, even though they may have a lot more specific available options when you get on campus and you're attending the school. So you'd highlight those majors that you're interested in, and then click Add Selected, and that then puts them on your list. So let's see how many matches we have. All right, so 45 schools is actually a great place to start as you're developing your initial list of schools to do research into. You can see the search criteria that you put in when you did the search, and those again are the major characteristics that are important to you in a school. And as you scroll down, you'll see all of those 45 schools that meet those major characteristics. Now, there'll be schools on the list that you've heard of and you're familiar with, and there'll be plenty of schools that you're probably unfamiliar with. So for instance, let's say you see Lafayette College on this list. Maybe you know that it's a liberal arts school, but you never really thought of it as a place where you could study engineering. That's the point of doing the list in Naviance and broadening it so that you have schools that you don't know a whole lot about or don't know anything at all about. You may not have known that that was a school that you should be considering as you begin your search. And Lafayette may have a lot of characteristics on their campus, just like any of the other schools on the list, that meet what you're looking for in terms of what's going to be a best fit for you. You already know that it meets the general characteristics. Now it's time to do a little bit of research, a little bit deeper into all the schools on this list, and find out, is this a school that's going to be a fantastic match for me in terms of everything else that it offers, all those other characteristics that are going to be important to you. So those are the basics of developing an initial college list in Naviance using search criteria that are important to you. If you want, you could even save your search by giving it a name here, and that way when you come back to your Naviance account another time, you can click select Saved Search, and whatever you name the search will pop up on your list. I hope you found this video helpful and are now going to be able to use Naviance tools to help begin your search for different colleges, to begin researching as you're starting off in the college application process.